This is Cast of Wonders. Welcome. Cast of Wonders is the fiction audio magazine for young adults featuring stories of the fantastic. Today we present a series of flash fiction stories by Rose Blackthorne. Rose lives in the high mountain desert of eastern Utah with her boyfriend. She also has a 2-year-old Australian Shepherd nicknamed Boo and a Yorkie puppy fittingly named Shadow. She spends her time writing, reading, photographing the surrounding wilderness and doting on the aforementioned fur kids. She's a member of the Horror Writers Association and has been published in several magazines, both print and online. She contributed to the zombie anthology New Dawn Fades, released in November 2011, and the Nikon eBooks Flash anthology released in March 2012. She suffers from an overactive imagination, but rather than complaining, she just goes with it. You can find out more about Rose at roseblackthorne.wordpress.com or on Facebook. Check the show notes for details. And now, we've several tales to tell. A collection of flash stories by Rose Blackthorne. A Good Harvest. Mother said, "It's a great honour." Elspeth nodded, going out to help with the end of the harvest. When the end of the last row was reached, Father handed Elspeth the scythe. With care, she cut the last stalks of wheat, bundling them into a slender sheath to carry home. Mother watched closely, murmuring words of advice as the girl carefully wove the wheat into a delicate, twisted figure. When she was done, she lifted the corn dolly. "Is this good?" she asked nervously. The dolly looked around curiously. "Very good," Mother breathed in astonishment. The harvest was successful. April in autumn. The pixies dress in oak leaves with acorn caps for hats. When the autumn breeze begins to blow, they dance beneath the trees, skipping across the lawns and empty flower beds. April watches out the mullioned windows. Named for the springtime, she doesn't like the colder season when the leaves begin to fall. In the yard, Papa uses the wooden rake to scrape up the yellow, golden, brown debris, pulling them into piles for the fire. Pixies tumble, high-pitched giggles nearly audible through the glass. April leans her forehead against the window sash, watching as the merry sprites escape their orderly piles, and Papa shakes his fist at the wind, unaware it's not to blame. Scampering, doffing acorn caps in mock civility, they disappear amongst the barren branches of defrocked shrubs. April's breath clouds the glass, but she can still see the flickering flames of the bonfire below, robbed of fairy flesh. Molly's garden. Molly used Grandpa's worn hoe to clear the bed of weeds. She brought water by the bucket to quench the thirst of tender seedlings. When the sun shone warm and golden, she watched as stems and stalks strove upwards. Leaves and vines stretched and strained, reaching toward the light. When the buds were almost ready, she sat in her garden waiting for the first visible petals. The green casings split, revealing shades of scarlet, gold and periwinkle, violet and vermilion. In wordless wonder, Molly watched the flower fairies emerge, flourishing their gem-coloured wings before flitting away. This year's bouquet was breathtaking. And so ends our first flash collection. If you're not familiar with flash fiction, it's a story form of varying brevity, and while there's no widely accepted definition of length, it generally ranges from a few hundred to 1,000 words. Of these stories, Rose says, "I've always been fascinated with fairies and spirits, and more than once have caught a flash from the corner of my eye that would later make me wonder what might be there, but unseen. These stories are my way of closing my eyes and imagining the many possibilities." Come tell us what you thought of them in the forums at castofwonders.org/forums. We'd love to hear from you. Cast of Wonders is released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives license. Share it, but don't change it or sell it. Theme is Appeal to Heavens by Alexei Nov from musicalley.com.